The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Wave. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico de Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico de Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And good morning, and I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, 65 degrees, partly cloudy. Going to be a beautiful day today, Paige.
I like that, and I hope that if you're out there listening, you'll subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. We have a brand new issue just hot off the press, good stuff. We feature the Master Cleanse, which is a 48-hour total detox that removes all toxins and helps you heal your body. Great information in there. And pick up some of the Primal Edge.
310 organic cell-ready ingredients, all powered by humic and fulvic acid to get the good stuff in.
And joining the conversation how to keep yourself healthy and your family healthy through the holiday season. If you're up and at it, give us a call.
877-927-6648.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm sure everyone's already getting into that mode
I think so.
of hopefully spending some quality time with family and remembering all the things that we are thankful for, which hopefully we were thankful for the fact that it's not the things that we're thankful for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, of course, it was always going to see my sister and my parents during Christmas and Thanksgiving, but they're all gone, so now we venture off and do different things, and we fix different things. But I wanted to really go over the origin of Thanksgiving, as we often do on this day. So, this is from the Huffington Post. And
Maybe what they didn't teach us in school.
Yeah, kind of.
Quite frankly, I think your learning actually begins when you get out of school. You know, the most important things that you can learn are what you unlearn.
Well, it reminds me of Columbus Day and all these other holidays that are kind of made up to kind of have the American spirit go on and on, supposedly. But what really happened during those times? That's one of the things.
Well, really, based on what we were taught. Oops, sorry about that, guys. What we were taught in grade school, may not actually be. Maybe it's not quite as romantic as the way we remember it. They were fleeing religious persecution. The Pilgrims sailed from England, landed on Plymouth Rock over 2 months later, and barely survived their first winter.
Yeah, with the help of Quanto and the friendly natives there who taught them how to exploit the local fish and game, plant corn and squash. They also protected them from other hostile tribes. They got a foothold there, and their first Thanksgiving was supposedly on 1621, around this time of year, I guess.
Yeah, it was held to celebrate a bountiful harvest with the tribe that helped make it possible. That was the Wampanoag people, and Squanto and the friendly Wampanoag were these people. But that's the story we've been told or sold. Remember, history is his story, so we have to question, who he is.
Now we're going to talk about her story, perhaps.
Right. The real story, it turns out, is it's neither as simple nor quite as consoling as this pared-down history would suggest. Not that the historians agree on what the Thanksgiving story is, and it isn't just historians who squabble over the significance of America's feast day.
Well, we do know that there was an introduction at that time of smallpox. And smallpox was generally carried by the animals. In this case, I think it was the cows that had the smallpox, and they were carrying it. Of course, the Indians were very susceptible to this because this is a new disease for them. And it really wiped out about 90% of the Indians in the local area around Plymouth. So that's one of the things that happened, and that probably leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the indigenous people. But you've got to remember that probably when we landed here, there were like 100 million natives in America, they think. That's quite a bit. And we think that by the time the white man got to the Mississippi River, that about 80% of those people died before the white man even got there. So the disease that we brought over from Europe really spread across the continent and decimated
the Native American people. It's very, very, very sad.
Yeah. The other thing that happened was we started introducing the colonial method of land ownership. Remember, the indigenous people didn't believe in land ownership because they were pretty much roaming around. So you don't need to own land if you're a hunter and gatherer.
Yeah, let's just summarize what we've said so far. While Thanksgiving enthusiasts view it as a celebration of the boldness, piety, and sacrifices of the first European migrants to American shores, the holiday critics claim that it whitewashes the actual genocide and ethnic cleansing of the sacred indigenous people.
Yeah. And that's kind of what
I think it's probably more likely that, though.
Yeah, well, you know, the winners always tell the story, naturally, and we're not going to tell the story that we wiped out all these people. We want to tell our children the good story, the friendly story that we all got along, and we started this feast, and that's what we're celebrating today. But today it's more about Thanksgiving, just thankful that we're living in America, for me.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe thankful that we have loved ones around us.
Yeah,
again,
I can't go back and change those things, and certainly, I mean, some of those people that were there are direct relatives to me, because the Dutch were the ones that were kicking the footballs and everything with the heads of the Indians, and they were doing horrible things.
Horrible things. Yeah, because so if you happen to spend Thanksgiving in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I was not aware of this. Listen to this.
They have two things going on.
You can choose between two public commemorations. Which one would you choose? You can watch the official parade in which townspeople dress like pilgrims and they march to Plymouth Rock, bearing blunderbusses and beating drums, or you can stand on the top of Coles Hill with the indigenous people and their supporters and fast in observation of what they call a national day of mourning in remembrance of the destruction of Indian cultures and people.
Yeah.
I just want to digress for 1 second because, I don't know, did I already tell you this? So I've always had it in my heart that I thought I was an American Indian, and I just kind of wanted to believe that because my grandmother was adopted, and we never really knew where she came from, but she always had, kind of cheekbones and smooth skin, and so I built this story that she was an American Indian, and well, I got my 23andMe back, and
you did?
I'm not an American
Oh,
Indian.
you aren't? Why are you?
And
Irish and
Scotch-Irish, Scandinavian, Iberian, so those Spaniards, the boats that went up to Ireland and grabbed all those Irish girls, I guess. So anyways, I just brought that up, but yet I have such a emotional connection to the traditional American cultures. I just, when I read it, when I hear stuff about it, I feel such a passion for them, a goosebumps on top of my goosebumps. But we'll go through a little bit more. Let's talk about really what is Thanksgiving all about. Maybe it'll help us feel even more thankful.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts and what Thanksgiving means to you. Anyway, we'll be right back. Number here is 877-927-6648, and while you're at it, pick up some Primal Edge for the holidays.
That's right.
We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionics, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated folic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back. You were talking about your adventure down the DNA route and finding out what you are. I didn't do that, but on Facebook they had this face recognition thing. I don't know if you saw that. And one of my friends did that and found out, well, I'm this and that. So I thought, well, I'll do that. I know I'm 100% Dutch. You know, I know our family goes back to 1100s, and so I did that, and it said 99% South African.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought, well, is it talking about the Boers, which...
Right,
of course,
it
if I
does.
was in Cape Town 200 years ago, but if we're talking about the DNA of the South Africans, well, I'm not a South African, as far as being black. So it's
Well, see, I think
it
that's...
didn't even mention Dutch or European or anything.
I think that whole facial recognition thing is nefarious purposes, and,
Yeah, well,
I've stopped getting my iPhones. I'm gonna do, the 7's far enough. I think they're taking it too far. But let's get back to this.
Okay.
So these two events, or these two perceptions of the event of the first Thanksgiving, they represent radically different visions of American history. And the official version, the one we learned in school, essentially starts with the landing of the Mayflower in 1620 in a small bay north of Cape Cod. In the native version, on the other hand, the appearance of the Pilgrims on American shores marks the beginning of the end. See, goosebumps again.
Yeah.
In fact, the end times began for Massachusetts Indians several years earlier when British slaving crews inadvertently introduced smallpox carried by their infected cattle to coastal New England, killing over 90% of the local population who lacked antibodies to fight the disease. So you can compare this astonishing figure to the 30% death rates at the height of the Black Plague. So it gives you an idea of the desolation. I mean, completely of a native people.
Yeah, the other thing that happened is that there's a Dutchman called Peter Minuit in 1626, and they established these Dutch gliders, guilders, which is money. So they introduced money in exchange for things. So people traded amongst themselves, but of course the Indians didn't recognize this.
Yeah, you kind of lost me. I think you skipped over.
Well, this is a different article.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to bring in the idea that land ownership is what really started around this time. There was another Dutchman who started giving away land to different people. To establish themselves, and of course the Indians were left out of that.
What a bunch of thievery. When you stop and you think about it, come on, not capitalism, thievery. I mean, let's just say what it is. That's not the same thing.
That's
I know
very
you.
close.
I know on the left,
It's very
people on the
close.
left believe that. But
Well,
come on.
I think I'm on the right. I think I'm very conservative. So, that's the way it is for me. But European commercialism and the Christian concept of real estate was introduced at this time. The market savvy unleashed by Europeans upon the Indians constituted the first land use policies in the New World. In the 17th centuries, it was not urban, but rather rural renewal.
See, the
result was
Indians
same.
didn't believe anyone ever really owned the land.
Of course not,
The
because they
great
moved
prime
around.
creator.
Even when they didn't
Yeah.
move around, they didn't.
So getting back to this, while the decimated Wampanoag people actually helped the British people survive their first harrowing year, Native Americans say that the favor was not returned. It was, again, this rob, steal, plumage, rape, kill.
Well,
A
remember
group
that-
which called itself the United American Indians of New England alleges that in return for Indian generosity, pilgrims stole their grain stores and robbed the graves of these people.
Well, this could be, too, that there was a hard winter. Remember, we were in the dark ages at that time. We were in a grand solar minimum, just like we're going to go into.
Yeah.
So they definitely had a tough time, and who can blame somebody if you're
Well,
starving?
that's what it says. The historical evidence for grave robbing is a bit thin, but perhaps we can forgive the starving pilgrims
There you go.
because it was a bad Indian. In any event, this petty thieving doubtless ended with their first ample harvest, which was celebrated with a 3-day feast. It
Remember-
remains an open question, however, whether the Wampanoag were actually invited or if they crashed the party, as some historians now suggest, when they heard gunfire from the stockade village and came to check out what the commotion was all about.
Yeah. Now, remember that we, as the white man coming from Europe, we were wanting to get away from the stuff that was
Religious
happening.
persecution.
But at the same time...
The taxation.
Right.
The
Right.
money control.
But at the same time, we introduced this to the Indian. So we were running away from the very thing we were introducing to them. We were introducing the Christian religion to them. We didn't want them to have long hair. We didn't want them to wear and be naked. We wanted them to be like white people.
Right.
So we were really trying to take over their whole spirit. We wanted to introduce land ownership. We wanted to introduce our different eating. We brought pigs over. They'd never seen pigs before. So there's a lot of things that was an insult to the Indians, and the Indians were still pretty gracious about the whole thing.
And that's the way I get it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were shoving our stuff on them. It makes me makes me crazy.
And we are also destroying a lot of their culture by destroying some of their monuments and things that we thought were, because it was a pagan
Well, I mean,
ritual
look
type
what's
of thing.
going on today. The World Health
Same thing.
Organization going over to countries in Africa and creating missionaries where
Right.
they're look.
That's
if
the first
if-
foothold, it seems like, in
if-
a lot of instances.
If, as Christian organizations, if they want to go over there and help the people with food, shelter, clothing, that's one thing. That's helping. But to try to change who they are, that's where I draw the line. I don't care what your belief is, But getting back to kind of the Thanksgiving thing, what do you think was on the menu? It says
Well, I
there's
think-
no evidence for turkey. It turns out only some kind of wild fowl, maybe a goose or a duck or something.
Yeah. I think turkeys aren't certainly the turkeys of today. Probably a turkey living in the 1600s was probably a healthy bird, and I don't consider the modern turkey that healthy. A lot of white meat in there, not so much fat. Even though they're fat, it's not the right kind of fat because they're being fed not their natural food. Trying to make
Venison.
them vegetarians.
Yeah, venison, corn mush, and stewed pumpkin, or traditional Wampanoag succotash. Cranberries were thought to be native to the region, would have been too tart for dessert. And sweet potatoes were not yet grown in North America, though grapes and melons would have been available.
Yeah, and sugar was just being discovered in a sense, too. So, yeah, a lot of things have changed.
You know,
Anyway,
so that whole notion that it was some kind of cross-cultural love feast, as it has been portrayed, is also disputed by historians who say that the settlers and the Indians were brought together less by genuine friendship than by the extremity of their mutual need to survive those cold winters.
Yeah. For me, again, it's all about family, and it's a nice tradition. To me, it's an American tradition. We didn't have this, of course, in Europe, and we really didn't have it in Canada. We have I think on a different day in Canada. I don't even remember. So long ago since I moved.
Well, of course, a lot of people, we forget. I mean, so Europeans don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah, to them, it's
Yeah,
not
to us it's kind of a national holiday and international, but it's not really international at all. Anyway, I think it's a good idea to look at this, to find out where we came from and some of the mistakes we made, and maybe we can correct this. It just looks like our society has really expanded on this type of theme of going into other countries and trying to make them America. It's not a good system. It's not a system that's successful in any way. What it does do away with the population of American who were here first, and that's certainly a sad thing, and still going on today because we still have these people on reservations, and they're still being treated terribly, and of course their diet is crap.
Yeah, so just in closing, it seems odd for historians to argue that history doesn't matter. A Thanksgiving which ignores the systematic destruction of Indian cultures, which followed hot on the heels of the Plymouth Feast, not only does it disservice to indigenous people, it falsifies our understanding of ourselves and our history. Only by openly acknowledging the sins of our collective past is it possible to proceed towards a future that we, as all Americans, can be thankful for. Okay, take a short break, and we'll see you right after that.
We'll be right back, folks.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
So I wanted to go along the same path we've been talking about, the changes. First, our first Thanksgiving is not exactly what we thought, but so there's a progression in our society to do this, and there's lots of things happening in our society that kind of are scary. And I ran across this article. It was a interview by Dr. Jean Twenge, and she started doing research about 25 years ago on generational differences. But she says when 2011 and 2012 hit, she saw something that would scare her to the core. This year there was a whole bunch of differences, and this is the year that the iPhone came into being.
Yeah, it really should scare us all. And I think everyone who listens to our show knows that's really at the core of what our show is about living a primal lifestyle and perhaps realizing that we've gotten too far away from what it really is to just live a normal life, connected to nature. And these were the results.
And connected to each other.
Connected to each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. So these were some of the results that should scare all of us that Dr. Twenge found. This was the year that more kids started to say that they felt sad, hopeless, useless, that they couldn't do anything right, depression.
Yeah, they felt left out and lonely.
And there was a 50% increase in a clinical level depression between 2011 and 2015.
And a substantial increase in the suicide rate. Before I give you any more, I want you to look at these graphs.
And look at how this information correlates to the iPhones being released. They aren't hanging out with their friends nearly as much. And we can take it to the iPhone, but I think we can take it to smartphones in general is probably a better way to do it. We've got the Google version of the phone or whatever.
It's not the brand,
but
certainly.
the article calls it the iPhone. So the point is what's going on, and it's this exposure to these artificial lights which interfere with our neurotransmitter production. And
well, also just the fact of looking at a device that you think is exciting and you're getting information from.
it's not a human connection.
That's right. The missing connection is the connection between you and I, and there's a lot going on there that we think that looking at a device or looking at a person is the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Why don't you scroll and get that centered? I'll go over it. The first graph says they're not hanging out with friends nearly as much. You want to pull that one down. They're not hanging out with friends as much. And the next one shows they aren't dating nearly as much. A lot less dating. Yeah, they can just get their entertainment with this little thing in their hand.
Yeah, and I have a friend who has a son that is exactly this. He's not interested in dating. He's not interested in he's an actuary. He's interested in being by himself, doing things alone, and he's basically kind of a bookworm type of thing. So.
And look at since more likely to feel lonely. Look at the mark where the phones, they are getting a lot less sleep. People are staying up later looking at it. I mean,
So
it's
this
very
line
tempting
is
to
where
do.
where the
Phone was introduced, and then you see an increase.
Yeah.
So she goes on to say that we're in the worst mental health crisis in decades. I would have to say that's probably true. And she wrote a book. It's called iGen. You can get it at Amazon and read the rest of the findings. So why is this happening? Why are kids more depressed because of electronics? And she states that, think about when we were in school. We didn't know every time that there was a get-together that we weren't invited to it, and we didn't see pictures of each outing, game, or party.
And this has to do also with the bullying that, when we were at school, everybody got bullied, whether you were good-looking, bad-looking, whether you're skinny or fat, didn't really matter. People pick on you. But it ended when that person wasn't in front of you anymore. So now it goes on through social media, and that's really a dangerous thing. So no wonder these kids, and it's not just kids, we're pointing out kids here, but just look at our society. Look at all the murders, the killings, these people going crazy. We know there's a problem with the mind here. This is where it is.
We didn't care what we looked like when we were hanging out with our friends because we were the only ones that were there. I can remember sitting around with my best friends in our sweatpants just laughing. I didn't wear makeup or care if I had my hair fixed just right because the worry of a phone or a camera, that's a huge thing for girls. I have to share with you, and this was even before social media took over. I mean, my middle daughter kept a little book, and she wrote down what she wore to school. Red top, because she wanted to make sure she didn't repeat something.
Oh.
But this was even before And I mean, I have to say, I mean, I was like, geez, I never put that much thought into it. But I imagine now there's a lot of girls that are actually like, oh, I wore that the last time someone took my picture.
Yeah, what if somebody, boy, just compounding.
I just can't be bothered. I just cannot be bothered. I will, don't
So think
care.
about bullies. When we left the school, we left them. If teasing happened, it didn't happen at home. It didn't happen so publicly. That's another thing, too.
Right. Everyone couldn't see it or know that they were teasing us or bothering us. Now it's all public knowledge, and anyone can join in or watch. It's truly horrifying, actually.
And not only watch, but join in on the bullying.
Right,
too.
and there's just people that's exactly what they do. Online bullies, the ability to have an intelligent conversation if you have a different point of view, the decision to try to ridicule someone if they have a different point of view and not have an intelligent, respectful discourse.
Right.
I think I sent you a link to Marty Leeds. He's a musician. He studies mathematics and
Yes, you did send me that.
gematria. And he presents some very compelling, interesting, thought-provoking, critical thinking type information. I love his site. MartyLeeds33.com. Check him out, guys. But anyways, getting back to this, I just can't even imagine being a teen or a tween today.
Listen to this therapist says there is a silent tragedy developing right now in our homes, and it concerns the most precious jewels, our children. Researchers have been releasing alarming statistics on a sharp and steady increase in kids' mental illness, which is now reaching epidemic proportions.
Listen to these statistics, folks. 1 in 5 children has mental illness. 43% increase in attention deficit disorder, 37% increase in teen depression, 200% increase in suicide rates in kids 10 to 14 years old. Just beyond me, how can kids at this age range feel so desperate? It just goes on to say they're being deprived, today's children, of the fundamentals of a healthy childhood. And what is a healthy childhood? Let's talk about a couple of those features.
Okay, one of the features is an emotionally available parents. Parents are there, and they're looking at the children, and the children are looking at you. This is what we talk about when we talk about indigenous people. This is how they saw it. They saw their children learning because they're looking at them.
Right.
Not because we're teaching them, because they're looking at us constantly.
And they were sitting around the fire and sharing and learning and watching and hearing
And all
stories.
these stories were part of that whole progress. Now we have stories from people we don't know.
And parents
Different.
also, number 2, had clearly defined limits and guidance.
Right.
Today, I feel that parents are so afraid that, they let their kids run the world, and they're afraid they're not going to be popular or something. It's
Well,
crazy.
the guidelines are there for the kids to push. I was one of those kids that pushed that barrier as far as I could always. So I had to have that barrier there, because then if that barrier wasn't there, I'd go do the stupid things I was thinking about. So my father and my mother were there to prevent me from going overboard. And that's the kids, we have to know our boundaries. If you don't give them boundaries, you're going to get into trouble, because the experience of our parents is so vital.
That's a great point, Nico. And responsibilities today. Today, there's so many kids that don't have any responsibilities in their house, like list of chores. Be a citizen of the house.
And remember,
Be a contributor to the house.
number one responsibility of a child was teaching the other child, the child that's not quite as old.
Yeah,
So,
let's continue this. Just
Yeah.
some other points we want to make. Stay with us, folks. We'll
we'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. So we're talking about this article from YourModernFamily.com.
Well, so we were saying that kids don't have responsibilities. They also aren't getting balanced nutrition and adequate sleep. They're they're staying up. The parents are handing them their laptops and their iPads and their screens, and they're letting them watch Disney movie repeats and repeats and repeats because the parents are busy. But guys, we just these electronics. These, if you haven't bought your kids some blue blocker glasses, for God's sake, go on Amazon and buy a pair. And it just needs to be a healthy family hygiene. When the sun sets, everyone puts on their blue blocker glasses.
So another thing that's happening, of course, they're getting inadequate sleep. They're getting poor nutrition. Just we're talking about kids' diets and lots of cereals.
They're not eating the foods, right?
Yeah, so that's happening too.
Exactly.
Sedentary indoor lifestyle. No more recesses in many cases at the.
Not enough movement and outdoor activity and connection with outdoors.
And then we have this endless stimulation, technical babysitters, so to speak, instant gratification, like you said, absence of dull moments. These are moments when you just sit still. And this is, again, if you have your child with you and you're hunting, this is one of those moments that you could get where you need to be stealthy, and this is the way the child would be watching the hunter, the father or the mother, and learning from that. So
exactly.
Learning how to sit still, learning how not to fidget. And a lot of this comes about because of diet also. We talk about that a lot. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly on a high carb, especially processed carb diet, you're going to be fidgety, you're going to be hungry, you're going to have mind lapses, you're not going to be in control.
Right. So instead, what are children being served up today? They're being served up digitally distracted parents. I mean, because aren't we all guilty of it, I mean, I'm a grandma. I'm at home a lot, but I mean, I spend a great deal of time reading and researching. We do a lot of this for our show. Yep. But when I'm really making a conscious effort that when I'm around people, that I put this stuff away. I mean, it is. I think it's downright rude, quite frankly.
It's hard to part with these devices, So when we leave them in the car, we feel naked. I've had that experience myself.
Yeah.
But I try to do that.
Try and remember those days when we didn't have it. I remember when I was about 15, being out partying with some people, and we went out to this lake area, and we got stuck in the sand. And we were out in this Boy Scout lake area. We got stuck. There was no phone. we couldn't get to a phone.
And you still survived.
And we still survived, and we came in 5 o'clock in the morning, and our parents were sleeping because they didn't have a cell phone. They didn't expect anything and didn't even know
Yeah, this article also goes on to say that it's not just the teenagers, it's young kids in elementary school. There's a counselor, Ellen Chance in Palm Beach, say that they see evidence that technology and online bullying are affecting kids' mental health as young as 5th grade.
Oh, I think it's even worse than that. I'm
girls.
seeing children, holding digital assets, so to speak, as a way of entertainment. And I mean, these kids, you're handing these little toddlers, and they seem to know how to use the phone.
It's also kind of a status symbol for
Yeah,
kids.
let's finish these, what they're being served up. The other thing that bothers me is, indulgent parents that allow their kids to think they rule the world, that they are entitled to these
That's
things.
boundaries that we were talking about earlier, right? Yeah.
Sense of entitlement rather than responsibility. And,
That's certainly today.
we mentioned they're not being encouraged to get adequate sleep, and they're being served up an unbalanced nutritional plate. And I have to say, today's parents, when are they taught that? If you watch the television, they're certainly not being, educated on what's a healthy diet. Everything that's on the television,
Somebody else is educating your child.
exactly, the babysitter.
Yep.
And, they're continuing this sedentary indoor lifestyle. So hopefully maybe this holiday week we can all turn off some of these distractions. At my house, we're going to do something a little different after Thanksgiving. We're going to do karaoke, and all of us are going to sing.
Oh, that's good.
It's fun.
I like that
Okay, we
idea.
are using an electronic device
Yeah.
for that, but we're just going to turn off the TV and...
So let's finish up this. What can we do about it? It has some clues here. Get back to what we did before phones, back to what our parents did when we were young. Spend time playing games with your kids.
Yeah, board games maybe.
Yeah, I have fond memories of doing all kinds of Monopoly and Parcheesi
And Battleship.
Oh, Battleship, I love that, yeah.
Yeah, and spend dinner time talking. One of the things that as a holistic health coach I teach people is that digestion is so crucial, as we know. And so many people are watching the news, which is one big stress ball, while they're eating. How do you expect to assimilate your food when your mind is trying to assimilate the chaos and tragedies
Should be watching
that
the
you're
Food
hearing?
Channel, maybe.
Yeah, the Food Channel. If you're going to watch something that's not stressful.
Yeah, okay,
But
so-
better yet, interact, right?
Yeah, spend dinner time talking. Drop everything, what you're doing when your kids get home, and start talking to them. That's, of course, a great one. Make dinner without having the TV on, or the phone close by, or a tablet or something like that. Use car time to talk to your kids instead of having them on these gadgets or watching something.
Oh, I have to tell you, I've been in the car with my kids, and, I'm driving, and I see it as an opportunity to talk with them, and, the Snapchat and everything's going. It's like, hey, put it away for a minute, And then you get to be our age, and you realize those times with your parents are kind of precious.
Yeah, if you spend time with your parents, you realize it. If you didn't, then maybe you're just one of those that is ignoring your kids now. So who knows?
And have your kids do some chores. Responsibilities increase their self-worth. I really like that idea of building self-worth. And I think making little charts where they can get a little star or something, or maybe their choice is not a thing that they get for a reward, but an activity.
Good idea.
And my sister's doing a great job with her kids, and so is my daughter. I mean, I just think we always need to be encouraged to adopt these things and give us other ideas of what to do, right?
Yeah, it says here, too, having your kids wash their own clothes, getting a sense of responsibility, those things are all good. Another thing is be sure that your child is getting enough sleep. Now, it's a hard one because we have them waking up early. We're getting them out of a natural rhythm. But it's so important that they get enough sleep. So
I think so. And don't keep a lot of junk food in the house. Limit the junk food and replace it with fruits and vegetables, good healthy fats, pasture-raised foods, and wild-caught meat and fish.
And it says limit junk food. I don't agree. I think just take it out completely out of the picture.
Well, if it's there, they're going to eat it.
That's right.
And it just
that
needs
happens
not to
to
be
us,
there.
too. I mean, if it's there in the house, you're more liable to grab a cookie than beef jerky.
Hey, remember that movie we showed the trailer to last week that's coming out? That's going to be a great little movie.
With
And
a little
remember,
pill?
yeah. And remember, it showed how the parent had said it took their daughter 5 days and that she refused to eat because she
Yeah.
wasn't getting what she wanted. And then she came around,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, hunger takes over. You're going to eat whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And, you know, I like this, but take away the electronics and tell your kids to go play. Some of my fondest memories were in the mountains of Virginia, visiting my grandparents, because we didn't live in the mountains, but we lived like an hour away or something. And literally, I can remember hearing that screen door flapping. You know, we'd run out barefoot, go into the fields, play King of the Mountain, and we'd just hear my aunt yell for us in a distance when it was time to come home for dinner. We didn't bother. You know, I mean, those are great memories.
A lot of other good things in here. I'm going to put this in one of the next newsletters, so look for that. It's a thing we have to change, folks, because our society is not looking good the way it is looking right now. So anyway, you got another segment coming up, so stick around. The Primal Edge is really important during the holidays, folks, so please pick that up, and you'll get it every month. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back. I got an article here that says intelligence is inherent from the mother and not the father.
Well, you know, I remember when we shared this research a couple of years ago, one of our listeners in the den took offense to it, but I think he tuned in.
I think it was in Taiwan or something, if I remember correctly.
I think he tuned in, like, partially through the conversation. He thought I was just, without any research, making this comment. But in fact, what we do find is that we've learned a lot more, that it's the mitochondrial gene. genes that are inherited by the mother, and perhaps that's a little bit of where this resides.
Mother's genetics determines how clever her children are, and fathers make no difference according to the study. Women are more likely to transmit intelligent genes because they are carried out in the X chromosome, and since women have two, more likely to pass on the intelligence. So it's not 100%, but it is more likely. And that makes a lot of sense in a way.
So this again, well, I guess this is the genetic, but I'm really interested to find out how much of this might be related to mitochondrial energy. So we know that we get all of our mitochondrial DNA, genetic information from our mothers, and maybe that's where a lot of this, actually resides. Scientists now believe that the genes which are responsible for advanced cognitive function that are inherited from the father are possibly automatically deactivated.
Deactivated genes have an impact on genetic development, and the deactivation genes don't.
So if there's a single characteristic which is affected via the mother, the father's genes will automatically get deactivated. If a single characteristic is affected via the father, the maternal genes are later deactivated.
This is a category of genes known as conditioned genes.
Conditioned genes,
Yeah, they are thought to work only if they come from the mother in some cases and from the father in other cases. Intelligence is believed to be the genes from which come from the mother.
Okay.
This is from the University of Cambridge, studied the brain development and genomic conditioning in 1984. The scientists concluded that material genetics give more material to the brain centers.
So there you go, guys. So that's probably a good thing to realize that the best predictor of intelligence was the IQ of the mother. There you go.
Cells which are associated with parental genes involve functions like sex, food, and aggression. They were found in the limbic system.
Well, listen, it says researchers also make clear that genetics are not the only determinant of intelligence. So the epigenetic influences on intelligence. I mean, again, if your child's not getting good sleep or not getting good nutrition or living in a distracted blue light environment with electronic EMFs, being sprayed by chemtrails that are high in heavy metals that affect memory and so forth.
Yeah, and we also see that in families where there are doctors, highly intelligent people, their children go on to be doctors in many cases. So it's not only are they inheriting the intelligence genes, but it's also the social interactions and how the parents perceive that child to be and how the child identifies with those parents.
Here's some research before we go. Researchers from the University of Washington found that a secure and emotional bond between a mother and a child was extremely crucial for growth in some parts of the brain. And they analyzed 2 groups over a period of 7 years and found that children who were supported emotionally and had their intellectual development requirements filled had a 10% larger hippocampus as compared to those mothers that were emotionally distant.
Yeah, this was a study done with over 12,000 young people between the ages of 12 and 22 each year from 1994. So a very extensive study.
So go give your mother a hug today because she helped you be the smart person that you are today.
It says it's about 40 to 60%, which is heredity, and the rest is the environment and the nurture. But it is safe to conclude that we owe our mothers a lot of cause because of how we are intelligent. So
that's right.
That's cool. I accept that. I think, too, the social upbringing, how you were brought up, how your parents treated you, are a huge influence. And I think schools, and it's all going to be influential because there's certain things that you remember through your life that stick with you, both good and bad, probably. But I remember the good stuff. So
that's right. So remember the good stuff, and it's all good stuff, and it's not stuff. It's memories of time spent with people we love. Have a very blessed Thanksgiving. Spend some good time with your family.
And check out Basil Chapman. He's up next.
See you then.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. sequence. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.